The Lies of P is an upcoming Souls-like title heavily inspired by Carlo Collodi's Pinocchio universe, as well as taking influences from Bloodborne and other Soulsborne titles. The demo dropped, and let's just say it wasn't exactly what I expected. But before I get ahead of myself, let me explain a few things. I'll have to explain the difference between a Souls-like game and a Soulsborne game. A Soulsborne game is any game that is made by From Software that has the same combat system, mechanics of the action RPG Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and whatnot. So basically, they're all in the same series. A Souls-like game is a game that's inspired by the series of Soulsborne games. So they're not made by FromSoft, but heavily inspired by FromSoft's work. Let's just say 9 months ago when the Lies of P trailer dropped, that I wasn't specifically excited to play it. I have a very scrutinizing eye when it comes to Souls-like games, since I am a professional Soulsborne challenge runner. I am happy to say that the demo changed my mind quite a bit, since having experience hands-on is quite different than watching a trailer. And there is something very satisfying about playing the demo, and I can only imagine that the game will make it much better. Now I'm going to explain as much as I possibly can in the next 5 minutes about the Lies of P demo. We'll start with classes. You get your standard quality class, dexterity class, and strength class. There's yet to be a magic class, but that might change when the game's initially released. Now onto my favorite part of any video game, the combat system. There of course is the tried and true satisfying dodge and attack system that you see in most Souls-like games and Soulsborne games. It's quite satisfying and fluid in this game, and I'm actually surprised at how clean it seems. Then of course you get your critical attacks, your backstabs, stuff like that. Yet the Lies of P adds on to that by adding the groggy system, which is similar to like a stagger system that you would see in a Souls game. Once you've done enough posture damage, if you do a charged R2 attack, it'll allow you to do a critical attack, which does a lot of damage, which is interesting because it favors aggressive play. Attacking isn't the only way to activate the groggy system, even by perfect deflecting, perfect blocking, kind of like a parrying system like you see in Sekiro. You can also stagger your opponent enough to get a critical attack. There is also like a rally system that if you don't perfectly deflect you will lose health, but if you keep attacking your opponent for a matter of time you will regain the health that you lost. Another interesting mechanic is the Fable Arts, which acts basically as your Ash of War or your weapon art. Once you've hit an enemy enough, then what happens is it charges completely, and then you will be able to pull off an extremely powerful attack that will drain their health bar multiple times over. Then there's probably my favorite mechanic in the whole entire game, the Legion arm with accessories. It's pretty neat. Kind of brought it out from Sekiro. You get an arm that has different attachments and whatnot, and it changes combat quite a bit, makes it faster. It can divide enemies. It depends on the attachment. I'm not sure how many different attachments there are. We only got to use the grappling hook, which did help in a lot of circumstances and made more aggressive play of the game itself. You can even break enemy weapons if you utilized correctly, and it's kind of interesting because they have less of an attack distance. Next, I'm going to explain some of the core mechanics of the game itself. It utilizes a currency system much like the Soul system or the Rune system from Elden Ring, utilizing that to both upgrade and buy stuff from merchants. There's also almost like a maiden or a firekeeper, whatever you want to call her, with which you would level up with. Then there's your standard smith that basically upgrades your weapons, and of course you have to find upgrade stones in order to do so. It doesn't do much different than other Souls games when it comes to the core mechanics of the game itself. The loot system is very similar to any other regular Dark Souls, Demon Souls, whatever type of game you're used to playing, Bloodborne even. So like finding new implements and stuff is always key, but it's pretty much standard when it comes to Souls-like stuff. Weapon durability is a thing in the game though. A lot of people don't like weapon durability. I actually quite enjoy it. The real good thing about this game though is no matter where you are, you can fix your weapon durability. Unless of course you are in a massive boss fight or something, then you'd have to use some kind of special item. Lastly, there are specters, which are basically summon spirits, NPC fighters that will help you fight bosses. There was only one in the demo, so I can't really testify to the effectiveness of whether or not they're good, but they do exist. Now we're going to talk about enemy types, difficulty, and bosses. First, you get to fight standard puppets, which act basically like your first enemy. Kinda slow, kinda stupid, the usual. Then you get mini boss puppets, which don't respawn, but they're a lot more difficult and they're a lot more tanky. They do drop higher grade upgrade materials and equipment because of the fact that they're mini bosses, which is kind of neat. Lastly, where this game really shines is in the boss fights, and I'm not going to say they're extremely difficult, but they're very enjoyable. The mechanics are really enjoyable, the visuals are very enjoyable, but I'm not a good gauge for difficulty in Souls games since I have about 14,000 hours total and about 310 no death runs in Soulsborne, so I think it depends on the person. But overall, I felt like it was a good experience. I highly recommend pre-ordering this game. I was on the fence at first, but now that I've played the demo, I'm definitely going to pre-order it. I think it's good for people waiting for Elden Ring DLC or for another Soulsborne game to come out. It's definitely enjoyable, and I had a good time, so hopefully the rest of the game is good as well. And that's going to do it for this review and this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Please consider following me on Kick, Facebook, and YouTube, Forlorn Gaming. That's all you got to Google. Hope you find me. Thanks.